Thank you guys for joining. I'm just going to give it one more minute in case someone's coming in. And share our agenda. Yeah, today is actually a really exciting day. We're going to be announcing when we're going to be launching. I know this has been a very much anticipated bit of news, and thank you everyone, also all the people who've been with us for a while now, for your patience and for your support. I know this has not been the most easy time, and we're just really excited to get to this point. The guys will be sharing more information with you as we go, but today that's the main focus. Big updates, sharing where we're at, what to expect at launch. And also today we have Anton and Magnet, who will walk you through a demo of the wallet, which we're also really excited about. As always, we'll have some questions. And please, at any moment throughout the session, feel free to drop your questions in the chat. The more the merrier. We're very happy to answer any questions that may arise. And yeah, welcome to Town Hall number 5. 5th time we do this. Hopefully we get better each time. And any feedback, welcome also. So with that, maybe I'd like to invite Thijs to the stage. Thijs will start us off with a status update. Hey Thijs.
Hey Irina, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and very loud and clear actually.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah, I will not take too much of the time because we are going to see some demos today. And but anyways, I would like to give you a short intro here, where we are, and also just tip, if you have questions, comments as we go, just throw them in the comment, the messages in the just throw in the comments, right? Because we read them as we go. Let's see if I can figure out how to enlarge this. No, I can't really. Okay, anyways, so the big news for today is actually we are still on track and we're very happy, and that's great. The team has done a tremendous job, all our teams, basically, and everybody has been working extremely hard for this. And now we have set the date, and that will be the mainnet launch will be the December 7th, and that's pretty soon. That's in a week. More 10 days after, we will start the payouts of tokens to the SAFT investors, as we have promised. So that's like the deadlines now and what we are aiming for. And I'll just, you can see, at least the one of you who were here at the last couple of town halls, the bars have been updated as we went on, and slowly have finished. The purple means they're basically finished. So short news, we are on track, and right now what we are focusing on is operations testing and making everything ready for operations and production. And that's where we are, and we are extremely proud of this. And if I should just give you a bit more actually context of exactly where we are, I cannot share my screen. It says you're not allowed to share your screen. Can you somehow allow me to do this?
I think Discord's being buggy. I'm just gonna stop sharing and you can share yours.
Yeah, that works. Yeah. So this has been like our internal milestone map towards go live here. First of all, we needed to get all the acceptance testing approved, basically, and passed. That means like all the tests we have before we can approve the network start, it can be everything to do with illegal spending, double spending, malformed contract, everything you can think of that should be a requirement. So the system has been automated and fully tested. That actually finished here some days ago now. That was the first milestone. Then we have been doing end-to-end and longitudinal testing, like running more days basically with a network. We already have a network running for more than 120 days, but now, while we put a lot of load on the network as well, continues doing transactions. We did over more than 10,000 transactions. And that's what we call end-to-end test here. And we have also passed this. So this was like the next milestone. Then the next milestone, which needs to happen before go live, is the finishing an approval of the operational testing. And what's important here is like we can never make a fully bug-free and finished system. Software will never be finished, that's the joke. But we need at least, when we crash or if we crash, to be able to restart and restore the data. That's extremely important. So that's where the focus is, of course. We are practicing backup, like manually and low practical practicing to do backups. We are trying to restore the database. We're trying to restart the network and also shut it down in a specific state. We are practicing those things, making scripts and programs to do this while we're operating the system. Then we're also testing the wallet, the restore function, and the backup of your wallets, basically, so we are sure we don't lose the data and your backups, basically. That's something which we cannot afford to lose, and that's where the focus is right now. And if we then look on, like, what is the status this morning, because we have status this morning, this is the critical task before we can go live here. It's a very, very short list now, and maybe you don't think so, but it actually is from a software point of view. Nearly all of our things have been finished now to do full operational tests, and we actually started the final operational tests last night. We have also done the first part of the resilience testing of the restore of the database, and you could say synchronizing the database if the network crashes. All these things has all been done on the pre-production environments as well, with the tooling created for it. We have our wallets basically ready. They've been finally set up for different distribution channels, so they can be used by test users and final users, of course, as well. They're in the app stores as well. And then we have a payout process that's 10 days later, but that's also has been tested. The full test has been done, and that should be ready the 17th. That's also on track. And then we have something called site tests, like if our server crashes, what happens then? Then we have failure of hardware, we can reboot the system and so forth, because we run it on our own hardware. So we need to ensure that we can get it up and running again if we lose internet or power or what happens. And that's the site test, also with backups. That's the last thing we do. And all this is basically on plan. And yeah, shout out to the team. Everybody involved has been working extremely hard for the last couple of months or half year maybe. And yeah, we're nearly there now. That's an amazing effort that has been done.
Amazing. This is amazing to see. And yes, I echo Thijs here. Big up to the devs. Everyone's been working extremely hard. So yeah, hats off to that. For those of you that didn't see in the chat, there's a couple of questions. So questions from Dreven. So what happens if a flaw is discovered 1 or 2 weeks later? Would a full rollback be needed?
Rollback.
Yeah. Christian says that a rollback would not be needed. We're running different types of backup, and we're in the process of testing all sorts of disaster scenarios. Maybe maybe you can elaborate on what kind of backup processes you're running?
Yeah. So how the system works is like each time we have a consensus round, what we call an epoch, we create something called a record. That's like instructions for the database. It could be like all the new records you need to create, all the ones you need to delete in the database. That basically creates the database each round. All these record orders, we call them backup basically. So we can always restore the database and also go back and forth in state of the data. It's very simple to do in this type of system. So it's not like a blockchain. We don't need to roll the blockchain back. If we need to update the software system as such, that can also be done. And we actually plan to do this. We haven't planned on maintenance windows yet. We'll probably 1 or 2 times a week to start with. Of course, if we find bugs, then we will correct them. And I don't know, maybe each Monday night or something like this, take the system down for an hour and then correct it. But it will not corrupt the data. That's very important. Of course, if we find a flaw in the actual data model, the data structure in the database, that's another thing. But then that's another question. But I don't think that will happen. Yeah. Per means Tagion. Will update require the network. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going to read out the question for those who are not in the chat. So, follow-up question to that one: would updates require the network to shut down for maintenance?
Depends, but for us upgrade of the nodes, probably yes. At least to start with, we will do it like this. But as we go on, we can upgrade each node separately and then by on the fly, so to speak. But it depends on if it's a breaking update, like if something with the protocols that needs to be somehow corrected. So it depends on which kind of upgrades we do, so to speak. But no, we don't need to shut down the network all the time for maintenance. We only do if it's necessary.
And Philip is answering also in the chat. He says, depends on which type of update we're talking about. If it is for the interface against the clients through our shell, it can be updated completely separate. So I hope that answers the question. Also, I actually have a question. You know, our functionality of the database where there are offline data capabilities, does it have something to do with this? And maybe you can elaborate on the benefits of that. I don't know if I'm drawing parallels here, but is that something relevant also to the system going offline, for example?
Yeah, you can say like I think like because the system is producing those records, we can create, you could say, parallel databases. So we can basically create parallel nodes with the same data integrity as the network is live, and by this switching over to other nodes as well. That's a way to do it as well. I don't know if that's what you meant, you know, but that's at least something that can be done. Of course, yeah.
I think that does answer to some extent. There's a really interesting question in the chat, probably directed to everyone. Have you looked into what caused Solana to break and made precautions to prevent similar scenarios, if that makes sense? And for those of you who don't know, Solana had a major collapse in last year, November, where the price dropped about 70%, and it was because of heavy congestion on the network, because the bots flooded it, causing a downtime. So, so they basically faced the network outage. I see that Philip wrote, I do not think that there are many learnings from Solana. It is broken by design. By having so low fees, the only way to get a transaction through is by spamming the system. And that is not very smart. Okay.
I think that the Solana case, it has another type of consensus system as well. It has a 2-layered consensus with proof of stake, and then it has a proof of history on top. So it's like a 2-layered consensus mechanism. But also with centralized, they have some centralized system as well for the validators. So I think it's pretty difficult to draw parallels to that. It's totally other system. Yeah. But I think the smart thing about our system is like how it has been thought from, and maybe Carsten or Philip can also jump on stage to explain this, because we actually have a database with the rules in, like what is the fees, what is a legal transaction, and so forth. All the rules in the system, they're basically coded into the database. And that means when you want to update the rules, when it's just data in the system, it can be updated on the fly, of course. And then when there's consensus for a new rule, it's enforced. Of course, if you need to update the software itself, then the nodes need to upgrade. But that's actually extremely smart, because then we can update the rules in a dynamic way, actually, and it has a much smarter upgrade governance of the system. Yeah.
And just to just to clarify also, just moving on from this, when you say payout, do you mean Tagions transferred to the users' wallets?
Exactly. That's
Okay.
what we mean.
Cool. And actually, that's keep that question in mind, because soon you'll be able to see how. Before we move on to that, there's a few more questions. So another question from the Ravencio. When will conversions from fiat to Tagion be available?
Yeah, that's a good question, right? It depends. Of course, when you ask when we go on a centralized or exchange or DEX, that's of course something we're looking into next year. Especially probably starting with the DEX. Also, sometimes community members actually start to do like peer-to-peer exchanges and also list tokens at different places. That's also happening in many projects. So hard question to ask or no answer. But we will at least look into making simple conversion with DEXs to start with, and also later central exchanges.
So is it correct to understand that right now there's a limited functionality of this initial launch of the mainnet, where it is really just focused on Tagions? It's not possible to exchange Tagions for other currencies, including fiat.
No, exactly. Not on like exchange, at least. Not as far as I know. Others can of course do it with an open system, right? But no, it's not.
And I guess that's further down the line in the roadmap.
Yeah,
could it be?
Of course you can transfer tokens from A to B, right? So you can always transfer tokens for other stuff if you have other parties basically who wants to have tokens.
As in this mainnet launch, in this first instance of the live network, the focus is really on the main functions of the network in terms of payments. So making sure that the Tagion, everything related to Tagion is working well. And then as we grow and develop, other functionalities will be added. Is that a right way to think about it?
I think that's the perfect right way to think about it. Yeah, I think that's exactly what we are planning to do. And we also have, I don't want to go into the roadmap for next year, but we are of course adding more and more functionality on top. But first we need to start like using Carsten's analogy. First we need to get the engine to run right and get it to run stable before we start to put all kind of fancy stuff on top. Because it is actually a new engine we created. It's a whole new consensus mechanism. It's also a full new architecture and design for a DLT system. It's not been done before. So we would like to have the time to make it work in a proper way. And then we will actually continuously improve the system as we go on. And that's the plan as well for next year.
That's cool. There's another question regarding consensus rules. So I don't know, this avatar doesn't have a name, but it's a little gnome, is asking, do I understand it correct? The consensus rules of the network are locked, set in stone, and can't be changed after mainnet launch? Or can they?
No, that's wrong. Of course, all consensus rule in all DLT systems can be changed. It's up to either the node operators or to change the software basically, or if you have a voting or consensus mechanism to change the consensus rule in the system, like a governance built into the system, it's up to those rules to regulate the consensus rules, right? And that's exactly what we have. So of course it can be changed over time if the community decides to do so. That's how it works for all DLT systems.
Typing again.
Hmm?
Also, would you like to jump on stage? We can have a discussion. We have a few more minutes before the demo, so if you'd like. I guess also another important thing to note here probably is that in other blockchains, so even networks and different layers that spawn from the main network are still subject to the consensus rules of the main network. So, but the possibility here with
Okay,
Tagion is
maybe we should clarify here what consensus rule means actually, because it can be a bit misleading. What does consensus rule means when I'm saying it? So you have the rule for creating, you could say, the consensus in the network, creating consensus around the epoch, basically. So ensuring that the nodes agree on data. That's one set of rules, right? To creating consensus in the data, so to speak, in the network. And that's some rules for this, so that can be solved. But it's also consensus rules in broad terms, like what is the maximum supply, for example, what is the rules for making a transaction, what is the fees. That's also called consensus rule, because it's all rules that have been agreed on by the community as a consensus. All these rules are called consensus rules, not only the rules where or how the network reaches the next progresses to the next stage, so to speak. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I guess it's important to define, because consensus is such a contested term that maybe everyone has a different
Yeah,
understanding.
exactly. So if we just say consensus rule, it's all the rules that is in the whole system, so to speak. And then we have rules for actually creating, you could say, epochs or the next valid state in the graph. That's also rules, right? On how we solve the graph. That's also rules, algorithmic rules at least. So there is many types of rules in the system, but all of them has been agreed on by the whole community, the node operators, the people writing the other rules and so forth. That's why it's consensus, right? Mm-hmm.
Okay, and maybe we can actually, it's really good that this has been brought up, because I think it warrants maybe some attention in the next town hall where we clearly define the infrastructure.
But then if you ask about the consensus rules and how to reach an epoch, if we change those rules, then I think no, not for now at least. I don't know why we should do it, because those rules on how we solve the graph to create around an epoch, I don't think we will change those rules. They are defined by math so far, so I don't think we'd change those rules. If that was the question, what it was meant, I don't know exactly what was meant.
So here the gnome says, yes, thank you. So say the rules around transactions could be locked and never change, but the rules around how fees are paid, allocated throughout the network, could change depending on what the community and who has the biggest stake behind their vote. So I guess this question is pointing to how the governance rules work. Maybe here's the separation between looking at validating the network and making the network secure versus then having certain governance rules on top of it. Yeah. I think it's true that it's quite multi-layered question and multi-layered solution. So thanks for bringing this up. I think so we're in time, we can also take this discussion into a next town hall where we can focus more closely on what this means and map it out also for everyone to understand better. There's a few more questions before we move on to the demo. So how fast will the network process transactions? And is it possible to have bottlenecks when too many transactions are queued?
Bottlenecks, of course, yes. We have like a physical constraint, the speed of light, and that means also like how much data can we transfer from A to B at a given point in time. And that's like the bandwidth or the transmission speed in a network, right? That is of course a bottleneck, but we optimized for this specific physical constraints as much as possible, and also theoretically possible, make it even linear how we use the bandwidth, so to speak. So that means it's extremely efficient. But of course, bottlenecks can happen, and then you need to shard either if it's on the data layer, or you need to create sub ecosystems if you need more throughput in the system, if it cannot handle it with the current bandwidth with the nodes. But yeah, so bottlenecks can always happen. There is a physical constraint. But I think we will, if we reach a bottleneck the first year, then I'm very happy. That means things went very well. But the more questions? I don't know if that was answer enough.
Perhaps.
For example, if multiple users spam millions, yeah, but if those users spam millions of transactions, that's great, right? Because they're going to pay for all of them. And then, of course, if that's more than the network can handle, that will, of course, then be queued. But the good thing is it will be queued in a fair way, and ordered in a fair way when it's in the graph. So it's not like you can get in front of others or and do front running.
Yeah, that's also a very important point with the network, because there's a fair transaction ordering. So there's not a risk of front running, as you say. That's also another important feature of the network, I think.
Yeah.
There's actually a question about the wallet, which I think is a good segue into the demo. And then please keep posting in the chat, and we'll circle back around to the questions after the demo. Thanks a lot, by the way, everyone, for the questions.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, regarding the wallet, last question before I invite Anton and Magnet on stage. Will it be available on the web and smartphone? And it's only going to be available on smartphones and CLI. So in CLI wallet, which means command line interface, and on iOS and Android wallet. So that's where it will be available. And maybe with that, we can...
May I just end with a last comment?
Of course.
Irina? So we also promised last time we have been updating tokenomics. We haven't increased the supply or anything, just to optimize it, because we want as much distribution for the community as possible. So we have been working with this the last couple of weeks. And I know Jonas is also here, who's been sitting with it together with the other of us. We promise we'll probably have some sessions here in the community next week. And those of you who want to listen in and discuss, you'll be welcome to do this, but we will not be able to do it here. Yeah. It's just like advertisement for joining and discussing next week.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted on the general chat, and also, yeah, thanks for showing your interest, whoever has already, for joining that one. Okay, but oh, another question regarding the wallet. Will it be expensive to send and receive Tagions?
No, it will be rather cheap, very cheap.
Great. So with that, let's move on to the demo. Thanks, Thijs, for the update. It's really exciting.
But with that comment, I would also say it's important that nothing is free, right? Everything needs to cost money. Like when you do a transaction, when you want to send a message over the system or store data, nothing is free in the system, and that's very important. So you don't get spamming of the system, but also so it's actually has a viable business model, so to speak. So people want to operate the system and keep improving it, and there is people who pay. Otherwise, it's not viable anyways. So that's extremely important. nothing will ever be free. That's at least my opinion. So yeah,
Nice. Getting a little philosophical there, Thijs. It's good. Good wrap up.
it's just very cheap to spam things if it's for free, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think also in this case, it's important to understand also where the fees go. So it will be to support the network. It's not to generate profit for token holders. It's making sure that the network operates well.
Exactly.
Okay, do you have any more comments before we move on to the demo? No, but if not, thank you. We can also once we've finished with the demo, we'll look at the time and also get back to any questions, comments from the chat. So thank you very much.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you,
guys. Thank
Hey,
you,
Anton.
Hey, Anton.
Hey, since you're here on stage for the first time, can you give a short intro about who you are?
I'm a developer, mobile developer in Tagion, in Decard. So we are developing the mobile application. Me and Maxim also will be today on the stage. Maxim, hello, welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
So today we are going to demonstrate to you a wallet application. We will show the wallet creation, wallet recovery, and the transaction sending processes or flows. So Maxim will lead this demo. So enjoy.
In the very beginning, you can see the launch screen where you can choose between creation or restoration of the wallet in case you have deleted the app, but you're a lucky one and you have your recovery phrase. So for now, let's proceed with the creation. Here we would like to emphasize that we protect the recovery, the secret phrase of the wallet. That's why we ask user to disconnect from the internet when user operates with the secret phrase. Once we switch off the internet, we can continue. Long press and see all 12 words. Let's save them for later for the recovery process. Here is a short confirmation that we remember our recovery phrase. Once we have entered our PIN code and submitted it, we can enable or not enable biometrics. Let's proceed with the enable option. And immediately after the wallet has been created, user has to enable internet back again in order to receive and send Tagions. Anton, could you please send me a little bit of what you have on your wallet?
Sure. I also have installed wallet in my device. It's already have some funds. So just scan the QR and send some money. Like that. As the transaction is accepted, and it says please wait for network to process it. It will take up to 10 seconds or near that. Just need to wait.
So as you can see, I have received Tagions. Soon we will see update on the phone of the Anton. At this time, we can also tap on the transaction and see who was the recipient, what is my current balance, and the status of the transaction itself. Anton, would you like to receive some Tagions back from me as a change?
Sure. Here is my QR code.
So as you can see, transaction has been resolved. And as the next step, let's delete the wallet, the entity from the app, and recreate it again. So now we choose restore. As you remember, we protect our secret phrase, so we switch off the internet. As I have the recovery phrase written down, I can write it again to restore the wallet. It will take a little bit more time than the transaction took. It is important to write exactly the words that you have seen during the creation, because in the other case, you will create another wallet, or you will restore another wallet, and you won't be able to get the balance that you had before. To proceed, we have to enable the internet back again. And now we see the step that helps us to get the information about the balance that the user had before the deletion of the wallet. All right, we have a newly restored wallet with the balance that was on the moment of the deletion, and we can continue sending and receiving tokens again. Thank you for your interest. If you have questions to the app or to its functionality, go ahead and ask.
Thank you, Maxim. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, feel free to ask questions.
Thanks, guys. Super cool. Yeah, just a clarification here. I'm just going to read some questions from the chat for those listening to the recording. Is it done on a real network? And the question is no, this is on testnet. Javensu asks, will all transactions be public or visible somewhere? Like on an Explorer or something like this?
We had a couple of questions. Which one should we take as the first one to answer?
The question here is, will all transactions be visible or public somewhere?
Not in the wallet, maybe in the Explorer, but I'm not the 100% sure source of information. But if it's in the roadmap, then it will be visible in the Explorer.
Okay. Another question here. Why do you think it is important to force users to turn off their internet when they're doing something with the recovery phrase? How will this benefit the users?
It is an extra precaution from our side, so that malicious software that might get through your phone does not have access to the memory, and will not be, even if it will somehow access the phrase, it won't be able to send it. On further details, Anton can elaborate, I guess.
Yeah, it's correct, and that's why we also implemented the limitations for the taking screenshot and screen recording during using the wallet. So this is an additional security measure. It's nice to have, I'd like to say. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, can't be safe enough when we're operating in the space. There's another question. Using a recovery phrase seems a bit clunky in real life. Wouldn't two-factor authentication be a good option to add? And there's been some discussion here. Yeah,
I would
basically.
say, excuse me, I also agree to the answer of Philip that if we implement 2FA, it means that we can implement 2FA as an extra security measure, but if we decide to store the private key not on the device only, but on our server or on elsewhere, other servers, the wallet will become custodial, which will mean that your private key doesn't belong only to you. And it does not correlate to the development direction that we are now heading.
Yeah, as Philip says here, not your keys, not your wallet. When will the app be released?
This question, on this question, Thijs may answer later.
Yeah. Maybe Thijs can jump back on stage also. There we go.
Hey, again, that was a nice demo. Yeah. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. The app will be released when we press the button, so to speak, right? So it means when the mainnet is live, we will release the app, basically.
Okay, so will it be after the mainnet? Will it be on the same day? When do you
We
think?
think already now the app is. We already had it through. I think Anton and actually can help me here. Like low practical, right? We already had it through once in iOS Store and the Google Store, right? The Play Store.
Yeah, the application is already ready for the publishing. So when
So it is
we
basically already ready.
Yeah.
But before we pay out some tokens, it's pretty hard to use it for anything, right? You can of course create your own wallet, but you cannot really use it for anything. So yeah, so it's actually ready already.
That's cool. So yeah, so we're almost ready to go. Question about security. If a hack does happen, will there be any support from the Tagion team? So I guess this. Do you mean this in the sense of fund recovery, or I guess this is important to identify: is Tagion a custodial or a self-custodial wallet, non-custodial, custodial wallet, and therefore, if it's not, then what kind of support can there be? Yeah, so to clarify, if you log in one day and all your precious Tagions are gone, what kind of support is there, if any?
Decard is basically publishing this app, so of course we will help. What we cannot help with is, of course, if you lose your keys, right? Because we don't have them. That's very important to not lose your keys. That's number one. Of course, like being hacked is all about like what is in it for the hacker. Like it's basically how much effort does he put in for the reward. Basically, that's basically security in this sense. And I think most of people who get Tagions will have a rather small amount of Tagions, or at least to start with. So I think the risk is very, very low. That's number one. Secondly, we created it with secure modules, so we try to keep them updated all the time. But of course, it's a mobile phone. Like mobile phone is actually pretty secure these days. and can handle quite good security. But of course, it's not perfect. That also means, for example, here in Decard, we have some main wallets, payouts, and so forth. We don't use mobile phones for this. We have our own system for this, our own CLI wallets or built wallets, right? We can create our own security mechanisms. And there is also other wallet solutions out there if you have like big amounts which you want to protect. So that's the second point. And of course, if there happens some kind of generic hack in the Decard wallet, or we have a security hole, we will of course try to close it as quick as possible, and we will also help. And that's the third one, right?
How will, for example, if someone gets phished, so if there's some kind of transaction, and the person with the Tagion wallet goes and signs a scammy transaction, and then this scammer initiates a smart contract which sweeps all the funds from the wallet and sends them out. Usually this is done through enabling an unlimited allowance in the wallet. If Tagion is a non-custodial wallet, what kind of support can there be? Because there's probably Tagion does not have access to customers' wallets, right?
No, we don't. So if some of you, or if I, for that matter, approves a transaction from my wallet where I basically transfer my funds to a third party, either via smart contract or just via a simple transfer, then the money is out of my control. Right? That's how the system works. And we cannot do anything about this. That's just how the system works. Because cryptographics doesn't care about if you did it because you thought it was correct or was a phishing transaction. If you signed it and you push the button on your phone and send all your tokens to a phish address or something you don't know what to send your tokens to, then we cannot do anything about it. Yeah. But
Yeah,
again,
it's really important to clarify that one, I think.
But it's like when you go on your home bank or whatever, right? Like, or get a spam email, like transfer money to me because then you get the triple amount back, or please pay for this because X, Y, Z. I mean, it's also like common sense, not just to send money to people that you don't really know or you find weird, right?
Yeah. Stay safe out there, guys. It's still the Wild West.
Yeah. We don't have those advanced smart contract functions for payments yet, so we don't have those advanced problems either. That's just not common.
Okay, that's good to know. So yes, also Christian is saying that we've applied to both app stores and we have passed a review, and therefore can publish when we want to. This is just to say, back to the point that we're ready to go with the wallet. Yeah, and also guys, thank you so much. That was a really great. It's really great to see this in action. Quite exciting.
Thank you too.
Also, Philip has a good tip.
Thank you.
Please don't put your words somewhere online on a piece of paper or a crypto steel for the fancy. So does that mean you advise people to put them on a piece of paper or not?
No, put them in a digital. Yeah, I think that's what Philip means. And I also think we will make a guide. We will make a guide on how to, or link to some YouTube guides for that matter, on how to probably store your backup keys and so forth. And also, so we will make some introductions to this, and we will also link to some. Already a lot of people work on this. But in general, never give out your backup keys or your passwords. It's like giving out your keys to your home bank or whatever. Never do it. It's never a good idea.
Yeah, really important rule. So yes, for those of you are familiar with crypto, it's really important to make sure that you have your seed phrase somewhere safe. And for those of you who are just getting into it, we'll provide some really good instructions as we go. And now that we're counting down the days that the mainnet will be sharing information and also information and answering further questions, so please continue to ask them. There's some funny things in the chat. I think we're just about out of time. Does anyone else have any questions? Any comments? Three people typing, so we'll see. Thanks again, everyone, for all your questions. It's really nice. Maybe next time more people will join us on stage. Then we can really have a chat. The app looks great. Thanks for the presentation, guys. Oh, roadmap question. When will we have a web wallet? Or is there plans to have a web wallet? Like a browser wallet? Or is it just mobile for now?
No, we don't have it in the roadmap. So I think we have been pretty focused on just delivering this roadmap, so to speak. We have been discussing the web versions, Windows, Mac OS versions, and so forth, but we are not taking any decisions in this regard. No, we haven't. But of course, you will probably start with some kind of web plugin or something. There is, yeah, whatever. But we'll look into this, of course. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Please expect news from us. We'll be sharing things as we go. As we said, we'll release some guides. We'll also release some articles about what to expect again, just to reinstate that it's really the first live launch of this network. So really testing the main functionalities. And if you have any questions at any moment, please reach out on the general chat or in the other channels, and there's someone online to help you always. And thank you so much for your enthusiasm. It's really exciting to have everyone here, and yeah, see you very soon. We'll be hosting these more often as we're live, so stay tuned. And thank you so much, Anton and Maxime, for giving us a demo. And if you guys have any specific questions regarding the app, these are your guys, so please reach out.
Yeah, thank you all, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. See you soon. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon.